I stopped breathing when I found the flash drive. It was tucked inside my daughter's jewelry box, the one I'd been avoiding for 3 months since we buried her. Sarah had been dead for 92 days, and I'd finally worked up the courage to go through her things. Her husband Marcus kept asking when I'd clear out the house, their house, now his house, said he needed closure, said he couldn't heal with all her belongings still around. But something about the way he asked made my stomach turn. The flash drive was taped to the bottom of the jewelry box, wrapped in a small piece of paper. My hands shook as I unfolded it. Sarah's handwriting. Just 4 words. Dad, please watch this. I sat there on the edge of her bed, surrounded by boxes of clothes I was supposed to donate, holding this tiny piece of metal that suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. The police had ruled her death an accident. Tragic slip in the bathtub, they said. 34 years old, healthy, vibrant, just gone. They said these things happen. Head trauma. She'd been alone in the house. Marcus found her when he came home from his business trip. I'd accepted it. What choice did I have? I'd lost my daughter, my only child. The grief had been so consuming that I couldn't think, couldn't question, couldn't do anything but try to survive each day without her. But now I was holding this flash drive. My laptop was downstairs in my truck. I'd driven over to their place, Marcus and Sarah's place, to finally pack up her things like I'd been putting off. Marcus wasn't home. He'd said he had a conference in Seattle, wouldn't be back until tomorrow. Perfect timing, he'd said. Take all the time you need, Jim. I didn't take all the time. I took the flash drive, got in my truck, and drove. I didn't go home. I couldn't. My wife, Margaret, had passed 2 years before Sarah. The house felt too empty, too full of ghosts. Instead, I drove to a coffee shop across town, one where nobody knew me, ordered a black coffee I didn't drink, and opened my laptop in the corner booth. The flash drive had a single file, video, dated 2 weeks before Sarah died. I clicked play. Sarah's face filled the screen. She was in her car, parked somewhere I didn't recognize. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. When she spoke, her voice cracked. Dad, if you're watching this, then I was right. And I'm so sorry. My heart hammered in my chest. I don't know how to say this. I've tried to tell you in person 12 times, but I couldn't. You liked Marcus. You walked me down the aisle. You gave us your blessing. She wiped her eyes. I found something 3 months ago. Bank statements Marcus thought he'd hidden. He's been moving money out of our accounts. Large amounts. 50,000 here, 30,000 there. All going to accounts I've never heard of. I felt cold. The coffee shop noise faded to nothing. I confronted him. He said it was investments. Business opportunities. But Dad, I teach 3rd grade. I make 48,000 a year. Where's he getting this money? She took a shaky breath. I started digging. I found insurance policies. 3 of them. Life insurance. All on me. Total value, $4 million. $4 million. I never agreed to any of this. Never signed anything. I think he forged my signature. I found papers in his desk drawer, Dad. Printouts about making accidents look natural. About head trauma. About, her voice broke completely. About bathtub falls. Jesus Christ. I'm documenting everything. I've made copies of all the bank statements, the insurance policies, the papers I found. They're in the safe deposit box at First National, under my name. Box 247. The key is... She glanced around nervously. The key is hidden in Mom's old cookbook, the one with the green cover that I kept after she passed. It's taped inside the back cover. She leaned closer to the camera. If something happens to me, if there's any kind of accident, please, Dad, please don't believe it. Look at the evidence. He's planning something. I feel it. I've been so careful. But her eyes filled with tears. I'm scared. I'm so scared. And I can't go to the police without proof. They'll think I'm paranoid. They'll think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy, Dad. I'm in danger. And if you're watching this, then I was right. The video ended. I sat there, staring at the black screen, my coffee long cold, my hands trembling so badly I could barely close the laptop. Around me, people chatted and laughed and lived their normal lives. Someone ordered a latte. A baby cried. A chair scraped against the floor. And I sat there realizing my son-in-law had murdered my daughter. The police had ruled it an accident. Marcus had been so convincing, so grief-stricken. He'd held my hand at the funeral, tears streaming down his face, telling me how much he'd loved her, how he couldn't imagine life without her. I'd comforted him. I'd told him Sarah would want him to be happy, to move forward. I'd been comforting my daughter's killer. I drove to First National Bank in a daze. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. I kept seeing Sarah's face on that video, kept hearing her voice. "I'm scared, Dad. I'm so scared." And I hadn't been there. I hadn't known. I'd failed her. The cookbook was still at Marcus's house. I'd seen it there on the shelf just an hour ago, between a stack of cookbooks Sarah had collected over the years. Green cover with gold lettering. Margaret's cookbook. Sarah had loved using her mother's recipes. I couldn't go back there. Not yet. Not without losing my mind and doing something I'd regret. So I sat in the bank parking lot and called my old friend Robert Chen. We'd served together in Vietnam. He'd gone on to become a detective before retiring 5 years back. If anyone could help me think clearly, it was Rob. "Jim? That really you?" His voice sounded surprised. We hadn't talked much since Margaret's funeral. "Rob, I need help. It's about Sarah." Silence. Then, careful. "Jim, Sarah's been gone 3 months. I know grief can. She was murdered, Rob. By Marcus. And I have proof." I drove to his place in Bellingham, a small ranch house he'd bought after his wife died. He listened to everything, watched the video twice, took notes in that methodical way cops never quite lose. "You can't go to the police with this," he said finally. "What? Why not?" "Because right now all you have is a video of your daughter expressing fears. No evidence of actual wrongdoing. Marcus will say she was paranoid, unstable. Hell, he could spin this into Sarah having mental health issues, claim that's why you're grasping at straws." Rob leaned back in his chair. "You need the evidence," she mentioned. "The bank statements, the forged documents, the insurance policies. You need concrete proof. They're in a safe deposit box. I need the key, which is in Marcus's house." "Yeah?" Rob drummed his fingers on the table. "When's he back from Seattle?" "Tomorrow afternoon. Then we go tonight. We get that cookbook, we get that key, and then we build a case the police can't ignore." I should have said no. Should have insisted we do this legally. But all I could see was Sarah's terrified face on that video. All I could hear was her voice, saying she was scared. So I said yes. We waited until midnight. Marcus's house, Sarah's house, sat dark and empty. I still had my key. Sarah had given it to me years ago, just in case. My hands shook as I unlocked the door. The house felt wrong. It had felt wrong since Sarah died. But now it felt haunted. Every room held memories of her. The kitchen, where she'd taught herself to bake bread. The living room, where she'd fallen asleep reading. The bathroom where she'd died, where she'd been killed. The cookbook was right where I'd seen it earlier. Green cover, gold lettering, Margaret's recipes. I pulled it from the shelf, opened to the back cover. The key was there, exactly as Sarah had said. Taped to the inside back cover, a small brass key with a number, 247. "Got it," I whispered to Rob, who was keeping watch by the window. "Then let's get out of Jim, wait." "What?" "Look at this." Rob was standing by Marcus's desk now, pointing at the computer. The screen was asleep, but when Rob touched the mouse, it woke up. No password. Marcus hadn't logged out. "Rob, we should go. Just give me 2 minutes." I stood there clutching the cookbook, my heart pounding, while Rob pulled out a flash drive and started copying files. I kept thinking about what would happen if Marcus came home early, if a neighbor saw lights, if... "Jesus!" Rob breathed. "What?" "Jim, look at this." I moved closer. The screen showed an email chain, Marcus to someone named Derek, recent from just 2 weeks ago. "Insurance confirmed," Marcus had written. "Payment processing. Should have funds by end of month." Derek's response. "About time. I'll expect my cut as discussed. 30%. Marcus. Deal. Couldn't have done it without your help that night." That night, I felt like I was going to be sick. "There's more," Rob said quietly, clicking through files. Text messages. He backed them up to his computer. "Look at the dates. October 15th. The day Sarah died. Marcus to Derek. She's taking a bath. I'm heading out. You know what to do. Derek to Marcus. In position. Give me 20 minutes. Marcus to Derek. Make it look natural. No marks. Derek to Marcus. Professional to the end. This'll look like an accident. Marcus to Derek. Call me when it's done. And then 45 minutes later, Derek to Marcus. Clean. She slipped, hit her head. Tragic accident. Marcus to Derek. You're sure? Derek to Marcus. Man, I've done this before. Trust me. No one will question it. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't process what I was reading. My daughter. My baby girl. They'd planned it. They'd executed it. And Marcus had come home, found her, called 911, played the devastated husband. Copy everything, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Every goddamn thing. Rob worked fast. Files, emails, text backups, browser history. All of it went onto his flash drive. When he was done, we left everything exactly as we'd found it, locked the door behind us, and drove back to Rob's place. We didn't sleep. We went through everything, built a timeline, made copies of copies. By dawn, we had something concrete. Bank statements showing Marcus had been stealing from joint accounts for 18 months. Life insurance policies, all forged Sarah's signature, didn't match any of the legitimate documents we had of hers. The emails and texts between Marcus and Derek, and most damning, financial records showing Derek Messina, former paramedic, fired for misconduct, now working as a private medical consultant, had received $50,000 2 days after Sarah's death. Payment for murder at 8 a.m. Rob called a contact still working in the department, Detective Lisa Ramirez. Homicide. She listened to everything, watched Sarah's video, reviewed our evidence. This is enough, she said finally. More than enough. We'll bring him in today. I want to be there when you arrest him. She looked at me, sympathy in her eyes. Jim, I can't. He killed my daughter. I need to see his face when he knows we know. She was quiet for a moment. Then, you stay in the car. You don't interfere. Understood? I understood. They picked up Derek first, arrested him at his apartment in Tacoma at 10 a.m. He tried to run, made it half a block before 2 officers tackled him. I watched from the unmarked car, feeling nothing, no satisfaction, no anger, just emptiness. Derek talked within an hour, gave up everything, said Marcus had approached him 6 months prior, offered him $100,000 to help with a problem. Said Marcus had planned every detail, how Derek would enter through the back door while Marcus was conveniently out of town, how Derek would wait until Sarah was in the bath, vulnerable, how he'd force her head underwater, hold her down, then stage the slip and fall, how she'd struggled. That detail broke something in me. My daughter had fought, had known, at the end, what was happening, had died terrified and alone while her husband's hired killer drowned her. They arrested Marcus at 2 p.m., right as his flight from Seattle landed at SeaTac. I was there too, watched them walk him through the airport in handcuffs while travelers stared. He saw me standing there with Detective Ramirez. Our eyes met. He had the audacity to look confused. Jim, what's going on? What's... We know, I said. My voice didn't sound like my own. We know everything. I watched his face change, watched the confusion shift to panic, then to cold calculation. He started to speak, to protest, but Ramirez cut him off with Miranda rights. In the car, Marcus tried one more time. Jim, please. I loved Sarah. I would never. You drowned my daughter for $4 million. You hired someone to kill her. I have the texts, Marcus. I have the emails. I have everything. His face went white, then red. Then he said nothing else. The trial lasted 6 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury took 4 hours to convict. Marcus got life without parole. Derek got 30 years for second-degree murder and conspiracy. I sat through every day of it, heard every detail, every moment of how they'd planned it, executed it, covered it up. I heard the medical examiner testify that the original autopsy had missed signs of drowning because they hadn't been looking for it. The death had been ruled accidental. So they'd looked for accident indicators. I heard experts explain how the forged insurance policies had been sophisticated enough to fool the insurance companies initially. And I heard Marcus's lawyer try to paint Sarah as paranoid, unstable, irrational, try to suggest her video was proof of mental illness, not danger. The jury didn't buy it. When the judge read the sentence, life in prison, no possibility of parole, I felt nothing. No relief, no satisfaction, no sense of justice, just the hollow ache of knowing my daughter was still gone. But at least she'd been heard. At least the truth was known. That night, I drove to Sarah's grave, sat there in the dark, the grass damp from evening rain. "I got him, baby girl," I said. "I got them both. You were so brave, so smart. You left me everything I needed." The wind rustled through the trees. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. "I'm sorry I didn't know sooner. Sorry I didn't see what he was. My voice broke. Sorry I couldn't protect you." But she'd protected herself. Or tried to. She'd documented everything, left a trail, made sure that if the worst happened, the truth would come out. My daughter, the third-grade teacher who loved baking and reading and teaching kids their ABCs, had been smart enough and brave enough to build a case against her own husband. She'd trusted me to finish it, and I had. I go to the cemetery every Sunday now. Bring fresh flowers. Tell Sarah about my week. Sometimes I tell her about the appeals Marcus keeps filing, all of them getting denied. Sometimes I tell her about the foundation I started in her name, helping other women in dangerous relationships get out safely. Mostly I tell her I'm proud of her, that she was brave, that she mattered. And I promise her that I'll never stop making sure people know what happened, that her death wasn't an accident, that she fought, that she won. Because in the end, Sarah did win. She might not have lived to see it, but justice came. The truth came out, and the man who killed her will die in prison, exactly as he deserves. I think about the flash drive sometimes, about how close I came to missing it entirely. If Marcus had pushed me harder to clear out the house sooner, if I'd been less thorough going through Sarah's things, if I'd given up and donated that jewelry box without looking inside, but I didn't, because Sarah knew me, knew I'd be methodical, careful, thorough, knew I'd eventually work up the courage to go through her belongings, knew I'd find what she'd left for me. My daughter saved herself, even in death. She just needed me to be brave enough to listen, and I was. Finally, when it mattered most, I was. The last time I visited Marcus in prison, yes, I went once. Needed to look him in the eye one final time. He tried to apologize. Tried to say he'd been desperate, in debt, that he'd never meant for things to go so far. I didn't let him finish. Sarah was 34 years old, I said. She had her whole life ahead of her. She wanted kids. Did you know that? She'd been talking to me about it. Said she was ready to start a family. I leaned forward. You stole that from her. Stole her future. Stole her chance to be a mother. To grow old. To live. Jim, please. You don't get to apologize. You don't get forgiveness. You get to spend the rest of your life in a cell, thinking about what you did. And when you die, you'll die alone and unmourned, just like you planned for my daughter. I stood up. The difference is, Sarah is mourned. Sarah is loved. Sarah is remembered. You'll be nothing but a footnote in a true crime case. A cautionary tale. A monster. I never went back. Never wanted to see his face again. But I see Sarah's every day. In photos around my house. In memories that surface at random moments. In the dreams where she's still alive, still laughing, still whole. And in those dreams, I get to tell her what I didn't get to say in life. I'm proud of you. I love you. You did everything right. The world is a darker place without her in it, but it's a little bit safer too, because of what she did, because of the truth she left behind, because of the courage she showed in her final months, documenting the danger, preparing for the worst, making sure that even if she didn't survive, the truth would. My daughter was a hero, and I'll spend the rest of my life making sure everyone knows it.